A gunshot shattered the quiet inside the diner. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe right now so you don't miss the next part of this story. Like, comment, and share if you want part 2 immediately. The glass behind the counter exploded outward. Screams followed instantly. 3 men walked in first. Black coats. No logos. No hesitation. Min-jae didn't move. He was already standing. Already watching the front door like he had been expecting this exact moment. Across the diner, Zara froze mid-step with a plate in her hand. Her eyes locked on him, not the gunman. Him. Because something about his stillness told her the truth before anyone spoke. This wasn't random. This was personal. One of the men raised his gun. Min-jae, he called out. You're coming with us. Min-jae tilted his head slightly. You're early, he said calmly. That small reaction shifted the entire atmosphere. Zara whispered, what is happening right now? Min-jae didn't look at her yet. Zara, he said quietly, stay behind the counter. She blinked. What did you just say? A second gun clicked. Now he looked at her. And for the first time, she saw it. Not fear. Not panic. Recognition. Like violence had been part of his life longer than she had known him. The man stepped forward again. You've been avoiding meetings. Your family is done waiting. Min-jae smiled faintly. My family doesn't send amateurs. That hit harder than the gunshot. Zara's hands tightened on the plate until it shook. Min-jae, she said again, voice trembling. Who are these people? He finally looked at her fully. It's complicated. She laughed once, sharp and broken. That's your answer right now? Enough, one of the men snapped. He fired a warning shot into the ceiling. Glass rained down. Chaos erupted instantly. Min-jae moved, but not toward the gunman. Toward Zara. He grabbed her wrist. Run when I say run. I'm not running until you explain. Another shot cracked through the air. Min-jae pulled her down behind the counter. Now. That one word broke her resistance. And she obeyed. A loud metallic clang echoed from the back of the diner. Both of them froze. Min-jae's eyes shifted instantly. Because that sound meant only one thing. Backup had arrived. Zara whispered, tell me that's not more of him. Min-jae didn't answer. And for the first time, his expression changed. Not calm. Not controlled. Alert. Dangerously alert. The gunman advanced slowly. Controlled. Certain. Min-jae looked at Zara. Listen carefully, he said. When I move left, you go right. Exit through the back. I'm not leaving you. You are, he snapped. Because if you stay, you die. That landed deep. Her voice cracked. You lied to me. Yes. About everything? A pause. Yes. Something inside her broke. But before she could speak again, the back door exploded inward. A second group entered. Now they were trapped. Front and back. Zara's voice shook. What is going on? Min-jae didn't look away. They found me faster than I thought. One man stepped forward. Boss Kong, he said calmly. Come home. Zara froze. Boss. That word changed everything. Min-jae slowly turned his head. Tell Chairman Park I'm not his son anymore. The man smiled slightly. You never stopped being his weapon. Zara's breathing turned shallow. Min-jae, she whispered. What does that mean? He looked at her. And for the first time, his voice softened. You shouldn't have seen this part of me. Then why did I? Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe, like, and comment if this story is pulling you in, because everything is about to collapse. Before he could answer, a gunshot detonated. Everything exploded. Min-jae shoved her toward the back exit. Run. This time, she did. Outside was worse. Cars blocked the alley. Men stood everywhere, waiting like they already owned the night. Zara stumbled. And froze. A boy stood there. 7 years old. Watching. Waiting. Behind him, a man approached slowly. Zara shouted, "Stop." The man turned. Smiled. "That's the boss's son." Her blood turned cold. Inside the diner, Min-jae heard it. And everything in him shifted. Not fear for himself. Fear for the boy. He moved instantly. Violently. Clean and controlled. The diner became a war zone. Tables flipped. Glass shattered. Gunfire echoed. Every step he took was toward the back door. Not survival. His son. Zara stood frozen in the alley. The boy looked up at her. "Are you with my dad?" he asked softly. That question hit harder than anything else. Before she could answer, Min-jae burst out. Blood on his sleeve. Breathing hard. Eyes locking instantly on the boy. Relief flickered. Then vanished. Because behind him, more men were coming. Zara whispered, "What kind of life is this?" Min-jae didn't answer her. Only one thing mattered now. Take him. She shook her head. "I don't even know you." "You know enough." Another gun clicked behind them. Min-jae turned slowly. And what he saw wasn't just attackers. It was a message. A war had begun. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe, like, and comment if you want the next part, because this is only the beginning of the collapse. A gunshot cracked through the alley before Zara could even move. Zara flinched so hard she almost dropped the boy's hand. Min-jae didn't look back. He already knew what it meant. "Get behind me," he said sharply. The boy hesitated. Zara pulled him closer instinctively. "I don't understand any of this." Min-jae finally turned his head slightly. "You don't have to understand. You just have to survive." That line hit her harder than the gunfire. From the diner entrance, footsteps rushed closer. Fast. Coordinated. More men. Zara's voice shook. "There are too many of them." Min-jae's jaw tightened. "Not for long." She snapped at him, panic rising. "You keep saying things like that like it's normal." He looked at her then. And his voice dropped. "It is my normal." A silence followed that made everything feel heavier. The boy suddenly tugged Zara's sleeve. "Are you going to die too?" Zara froze. Min-jae's eyes flicked to his son instantly. "No," he said firmly. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just certain. That certainty calmed the boy slightly. But not Zara. Because she noticed something else. Min-jae wasn't just standing between them and danger. He was calculating it. Counting footsteps. Angles. Distance. Like a man who had done this too many times. Another gunshot rang out, this time closer. A bullet hit the metal pole beside them. Zara screamed, pulling the boy down. Min-jae moved instantly, shielding both of them with his body. "Stay down," he ordered. Zara shook. "Who are these people?" Min-jae didn't answer immediately. Then. "My father's men." That sentence changed everything. Zara blinked. "Your father?" Min-jae's eyes hardened. Chairman Park doesn't like loose ends. A third wave of footsteps approached. Zara looked around helplessly. "So what? He just sends people to kill you in public?" Min-jae gave a short, humorless laugh. "When he's done being patient, yes." The boy looked up again. "Dad." That one word made Min-jae pause for half a second. His expression shifted, something human flickering through the armor. "I'm here," he said quietly. But Zara saw it. The crack. The pressure behind his control. She leaned closer, voice urgent. "Min-jae, we can't stay here." He nodded once. "I know." Then he looked past her. And his entire tone changed. "On my signal, you run straight down the alley. Don't stop for anything." Zara shook her head. "No. Not without you." He stepped closer, voice lower. "You don't have a choice." That hit her. Because she realized, he wasn't asking. He was protecting. And there was a difference. Suddenly, shouting erupted from the diner. "They're in the alley." Min-jae exhaled slowly. Then. "Now." He pushed them forward. Zara grabbed the boy's hand and ran. Bullets cracked behind them. The alley turned into chaos. Zara stumbled twice but didn't stop. The boy was silent now, shock locking his voice. Behind them, Min-jae moved differently. Not running away. Covering them. Zara looked back once, and regretted it instantly. He was fighting them off alone. 3 men rushed him. He dropped the first with a brutal strike. The second barely got a shot off before Min-jae twisted the gun away. The third hesitated. And that hesitation saved their lives. Zara turned forward again, heart pounding. "Faster," she whispered to the boy. They reached the end of the alley. And stopped. A black car blocked the exit. Doors opened. More men stepped out. Zara's breath caught. "No," she whispered. From behind them, Min-jae's voice rang out. "Don't move." Too late. They were surrounded. One of the men stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Young master," he said. Zara turned slowly. "Young, what?" Min-jae arrived behind them, breathing heavier now, sleeve torn, blood on his jaw. The man continued calmly. "The chairman is requesting your return." Min-jae stared at him. Then said coldly, "Tell him I'm not coming back." The man sighed like this was expected. "And the woman and child?" Zara's heart dropped. Min-jae didn't hesitate. "They're not part of this." The man smiled faintly. "That's not what we were told." Zara's voice broke. "What does that mean?" Min-jae's silence said everything. The boy squeezed Zara's hand tighter. "Dad." Min-jae closed his eyes for half a second. Then opened them again. Something had changed. Decision made. "Zara," he said quietly. Her name sounded heavier than before. "Run when I open that door." She shook her head. "What are you talking about?" "There's nowhere to run." He looked at her directly. "Then trust me once." A long pause. Gun barrels lifted around them. Zara's breathing trembled. "You're asking me to trust a man I just found out is lying about his entire life." Min-jae nodded. "Yes." Another silence. Then. Zara looked at the boy. And something in her softened. "Don't let go of my hand," she whispered. The boy nodded. Min-jae took a slow breath. And stepped forward. "Last chance," he said coldly. The men didn't move. That was enough. Min-jae's hand went to the door handle. And everything exploded again. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when the door opens. Backhand index pointing right. Like if you felt the tension rising again. Backhand index pointing right. Comment, should Zara trust him or escape alone next time? Min-jae yanked the car door open. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe right now so you don't miss what happens next. Like, comment, and share if this story is already stressing you out in the best way. The moment the door swung wide, everything exploded. Gunfire cracked from both sides of the alley. Zara screamed as Min-jae shoved her and the boy into the back seat. "Down," he shouted. She didn't argue this time. She dropped instantly, pulling the boy with her. Bullets hit the car roof like rain made of metal. Min-jae stayed outside. Zara's eyes widened. No, Min-jae. He didn't look back. He was already moving. Fast. Deadly. Two men rushed him from the left. He took the first down with a brutal strike, pivoted, grabbed the second by the collar, and slammed him into the wall. A third raised a gun. Min-jae kicked it away before the trigger pulled. Zara watched, frozen. Not because of the violence, but because of how controlled it was. Like he had done this so many times it wasn't even effort anymore. The boy whispered, "Dad is strong." Zara swallowed hard. Too strong. Another explosion of gunfire forced her to duck again. Min-jae finally reached the driver's side. He slid in, slammed the door, and immediately started the engine. The car roared alive. Zara gasped. "You can drive through this?" Min-jae didn't even look at her. "I don't have a choice." The car lurched forward. Bullets shattered the rear window. Zara screamed again. The boy covered his ears. "Hold on." Min-jae snapped. He swerved hard left. The car clipped one attacker, sending him flying. Zara's breathing turned rapid. "This is insane." Min-jae's jaw clenched. "It gets worse." That wasn't comforting. It was a warning. They burst out of the alley into a main road. Cars honked. People shouted. Normal life colliding with chaos. Zara looked back, and saw black vehicles following them. "No," she whispered. "They're chasing us." Min-jae checked the mirror once. Then reached for his phone. One message. "Block all routes. Now." Zara turned to him sharply. "Who are you sending messages to?" "People who owe me their lives." That answer didn't help. The boy leaned forward slightly. "Are we running away forever?" Min-jae's grip tightened on the wheel. "No." That was all he said. But Zara noticed something. His voice wasn't shaking. He wasn't panicking. He was preparing. For something bigger. The cars behind them accelerated. Zara's heart slammed. "They're catching up." Min-jae suddenly turned the wheel sharply. The car veered into a side street. Narrow. Dark. Almost empty. Zara gasped. "This is a trap route." "It's the only route," he replied. A second later. A truck blocked the exit ahead. Zara's blood ran cold. "Min-jae." He didn't slow down. The boy shouted, "Ah." Zara grabbed him instantly. "Close your eyes." Min-jae whispered under his breath. "Now." The car sped straight toward the truck. Zara braced for impact. But at the last second, Min-jae swerved into a hidden gap between two buildings. The car scraped violently. Metal screamed. Zara cried out. But they made it through. Barely. They burst into another road. And stopped. Silence. For 1 second. Then. The engine behind them again. Zara turned slowly. "They're still here." Min-jae exhaled sharply. "Of course they are." He looked at her. And for the first time, his voice softened slightly. "Listen carefully. When we stop next, you take him and don't look back." Zara shook her head. "Stop saying that like I'm going to abandon you." "You don't understand what's coming," he said. "I don't care," she snapped. "You dragged us into this." That hit a nerve. A brief silence. Then Min-jae said quietly. "No. I tried to keep you out of it." The boy looked between them. "Are you two fighting?" Neither answered. Zara swallowed hard. "Where are we even going?" Min-jae hesitated. Then. "A place they won't expect me to go." Zara frowned. And where is that? He didn't answer. Instead, he pressed harder on the accelerator. The car sped into the night. Behind them, the convoy followed like a shadow that refused to disappear. Then, Min-jae's phone rang. He answered instantly. Dae-young's voice came through, urgent. Boss, the Park family has officially declared open pursuit. Min-jae's eyes darkened. And? A pause. They're not just after you anymore. Min-jae's grip tightened. What do you mean? Dae-young's voice dropped. They want the boy. Silence. Inside the car, Zara heard everything. Her face went pale. What did he just say? She whispered. Min-jae didn't answer immediately. His eyes met hers in the mirror. And for the first time, Zara saw fear. Not for himself. For the boy. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when Min-jae stops running. Backhand index pointing right. Like if this twist hit you hard. Backhand index pointing right. Comment, what do you think Min-jae will do next? The moment Dae-young's words ended, the line went dead. Silence filled the car like a heavy weight no one could breathe through. They want the boy. Zara repeated it slowly, like her brain refused to accept it. The boy looked up. Me? Min-jae didn't answer immediately. That silence was the answer. Zara turned sharply. Say something. Min-jae's jaw tightened as he checked the mirrors again. They changed the rules, he said quietly. Zara snapped, what rules? This is not a game. It is for them, he replied. That hit her harder than anything else tonight. The convoy behind them stayed close. Too close. Zara pulled the boy closer. You said I wouldn't get involved in this. Min-jae's voice dropped. I said I tried. Zara shook her head. That's not enough. A sudden explosion of engine noise cut her off. One of the black cars surged forward, trying to flank them. Min-jae reacted instantly, swerving hard into another narrow street. The tires screeched. The boy gasped. Zara slammed into the door. You're going to get us killed. Not today, Min-jae said flatly. But Zara heard it. Not today. Not never. Just not today. That distinction terrified her. The car burst into a dim industrial area. Abandoned warehouses. Dead silence except for engines chasing them. Zara looked around. Where are we going? Min-jae's eyes stayed forward. A place I stopped existing in. Zara frowned. That doesn't make sense. It will. Behind them, more headlights appeared. They were being boxed in. Zara's voice rose. They're surrounding us. Min-jae suddenly slowed the car. The boy looked up. Are we stopping? Min-jae nodded once. Yes. Zara panicked. No, keep driving. We can't outrun them, he said. That was the first time he admitted it. Zara froze. So what? We just give up? Min-jae finally turned to her. And what she saw in his eyes made her go silent. Not surrender. Decision. Listen carefully, he said. Zara shook her head. No more instructions. Just tell me the truth. I am, he replied. A pause. Then. This place belongs to my grandfather. Zara blinked. Your grandfather? He nodded once. And no one comes in here without permission. The boy looked around. Is it safe? Min-jae didn't answer him directly. It used to be. That answer was worse than no. The cars behind them stopped. One by one. Engines idling. Waiting. Zara whispered, why are they not attacking? Min-jae's voice dropped. Because they're waiting for backup. That made her stomach drop. More? He nodded. Then. He opened his door. Zara grabbed his arm instantly. Don't go out there. He looked at her hand. Then at her face. Zara, he said quietly. Hearing her name like that made her hesitate. You said I lied to you, he continued. She didn't answer. I did, he admitted. A beat. But I didn't lie about this. He stepped out. Cold air swallowed him instantly. Zara's heart pounded. The boy whispered, Is Dad going to fight again? Zara couldn't answer. Because she didn't know anymore. Min-jae stood in the middle of the empty yard. And then? The headlights turned on fully. Dozens of them. Surrounding him. Zara gasped. Min-jae. But he didn't turn. A man stepped out from the center car. Older. Calm. Dangerous in a different way. He looked at Min-jae like he was inspecting a broken object. You finally came back, the man said. Min-jae's voice was cold. I didn't come back. I was forced. The man smiled slightly. Same thing. Zara watched from inside the car, shaking. Who is that? She whispered. Min-jae's next words answered her without meaning to. Uncle Han. Zara froze. Uncle. The man chuckled. You shouldn't have brought the woman and the child, he said. Min-jae's eyes sharpened. They're not yours. The man tilted his head. Everything that belongs to the Park family is ours. Zara's breath stopped. The boy grabbed her sleeve tighter. Are they talking about me? Zara swallowed hard. Yes. The man raised his hand slightly. Bring them out. Zara panicked. No, don't open that door. Min-jae turned slightly. And for the first time, his voice broke through calm. Zara. She froze. If I don't come back in 5 minutes, he said, drive. Her eyes widened. What? Drive and don't stop. The boy shook his head quickly. Dad. Min-jae looked at him for a long second. And something in his face softened. Just slightly. Stay close to her, he said. Zara's voice cracked. Min-jae, don't do this. But he already stepped away. And then? He walked straight toward the men waiting in the headlights. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when Min-jae enters the place he was never supposed to return to. Backhand index pointing right. Like if you felt that shift in tension. Backhand index pointing right. Comment, should Zara run or wait for him? Min-jae kept walking until the headlights swallowed him completely. Behind him, the car felt smaller. Tighter. Like the world was closing in. Zara's hands trembled on the steering wheel. 5 minutes, she whispered. He said 5 minutes. The boy looked up at her. Is my dad coming back? Zara hesitated. Then forced a nod. Yes. Even though she didn't believe it. Outside, Min-jae stopped in front of the man called Uncle Han. The wind shifted. The silence between them felt older than time. Uncle Han smiled faintly. You look tired. Min-jae's voice was flat. You look alive. That's disappointing. A few men behind Han laughed quietly. That made Han's smile fade slightly. You still talk too much for someone who lost his place, Han said. Min-jae's eyes didn't move. I never lost it. I left it. Han tilted his head. Leaving and surviving are different things. A pause. Then Han glanced toward the car. Zara felt it even from inside. Like she was being seen through metal and glass. And you brought outsiders into Park territory, Han said slowly. That's a mistake you don't recover from. Min-jae's tone dropped. They're not part of this. Han chuckled. Everything near you becomes part of this. Zara's breath caught. The boy whispered, he's talking about us. Zara pulled him closer. Stay down. Outside, Min-jae stepped forward slightly. If you wanted me, he said, you didn't need to bring them into it. Han's expression sharpened. We didn't bring them in. A pause. Then. You did. Silence. That hit differently. Min-jae's jaw tightened. Behind Han, more cars arrived. More men stepped out. The situation was growing. Zara leaned forward, shaking. What is he doing? The boy grabbed her sleeve tighter. Dad looks angry. Zara swallowed. He's trying not to be. Outside. Min-jae's voice dropped dangerously low. Say what you want from me. Han didn't hesitate. The boy. Zara froze completely. Even from inside the car, she felt the shift in air. Min-jae didn't respond immediately. That silence stretched. Too long. Han smiled. There it is. Min-jae finally spoke. No. Just one word. Cold. Final. That word changed everything. The men behind Han shifted instantly. Weapons subtly raised. Zara's heartbeat spiked. No, 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 no. The boy looked scared now. Why are they looking at me like that? Zara pulled him close. Don't look outside. But she couldn't stop herself from looking. Min-jae stood alone in front of them. And yet. He didn't look outnumbered. He looked like a line they were about to cross. Han sighed. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Min-jae's voice was calm again. You made it hard the moment you came here. Han nodded slowly. Then raised his hand. Then let's stop talking. A beat. Then. Gunfire exploded. Zara screamed. The boy cried out. Inside the car, everything turned chaos. But Min-jae didn't flinch. He moved. Fast. Sharp. Controlled violence. One man rushed him, down instantly. Another fired, Min-jae rolled, kicked the weapon away, and struck before the man could recover. Zara watched in shock. He's not human, she whispered. The boy shook. Dad. Outside. Han stepped back calmly, watching. Not panicking. Studying. Like this was exactly what he expected. Zara's voice broke. He's alone out there. But then. Min-jae did something different. He stopped fighting forward. And started moving sideways. Toward the side of the yard. Away from Han. Zara frowned. Why is he retreating? Then she saw it. A door. Hidden between warehouses. Min-jae was creating space. For them. Her eyes widened. He's clearing a path. The boy grabbed her arm. He's coming back. Zara nodded quickly. Yes. He is. Outside. Min-jae reached the door. Turned once. Looked at the car. Their eyes met through chaos. And for a moment. Everything slowed. Then he shouted. Now. Zara didn't hesitate. She started the engine. The boy screamed, wait for Dad. But Zara already saw it. If they stayed, they died. She slammed the car into gear. They surged forward. Straight into the opening Min-jae created. Gunfire erupted again. Zara swerved wildly. The boy cried out. But they made it through the gate. Behind them. Min-jae stayed behind. Fighting. Blocking the closing gap. Zara screamed through tears. He's still back there. But she didn't stop. Because she knew. If she stopped. They would all die. The car burst into the dark road beyond the compound. Silence hit instantly. Too quiet. The boy sobbed. Dad. Zara's hand shook violently on the wheel. He said 5 minutes, she whispered. A beat. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. No voice at first. Then. Min-jae's voice. Low. Controlled. I told you to drive. Zara cried out. I couldn't leave you. A pause. Then his voice softened slightly. You did the right thing. Her breath hitched. Where are you? Another pause. Then. A chilling sound behind him. And Min-jae said quietly. I'm not alone anymore. The line went dead. Zara's face drained of color. The boy whispered, Is Dad okay? Zara couldn't answer. Because now she understood. Min-jae hadn't been trying to escape. He had been drawing them in. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next when Zara realizes the truth about Min-jae's plan. Backhand index pointing right. Like if the twist hit you. Backhand index pointing right. Comment, was Min-jae protecting them or using them? Min-jae's phone went dead. Zara kept staring at it like it might start speaking again if she waited long enough. But it didn't. Only silence. Only darkness outside the windshield. The boy's small voice broke through it. Is Dad gone? Zara swallowed hard. Her hands were still shaking on the steering wheel. No, she said quickly. Too quickly. No, he's not gone. But she didn't sound convinced. Neither of them did. Behind them, the road was empty now. No gunfire. No headlights. Nothing. That was worse. Because silence meant one thing. The chase wasn't over. It had just changed direction. Zara pressed her foot on the accelerator anyway. Where are we going? The boy asked again. Zara didn't know. That was the truth. But then. A low beep came from the dashboard. Zara frowned. What is that? The screen in the car flickered. Then turned on by itself. A map appeared. A single route highlighted. The boy leaned forward. Did Dad send that? Zara hesitated. Then nodded slowly. Yes. Even though she wasn't sure anymore. The route led out of the city. Into a restricted industrial zone. Zara whispered, This looks like a trap. But she still followed it. Because there was no other choice. Back at the compound. Min-jae stood alone in the smoke. Blood on his sleeve. Breathing controlled but heavy. Around him, Han's men circled again. But something had changed. They weren't rushing him anymore. They were waiting. Because Han had stepped forward again. And this time, he wasn't smiling. You let them escape, Han said quietly. Min-jae wiped blood from his lip. I let them live. Han nodded slowly. Then sighed. You still think like a protector. Min-jae's eyes hardened. I always have. A pause. Then Han spoke lower. That's why you were dangerous to us. Min-jae tilted his head. Was? That word made Han stop. A slow smile returned. You don't understand what you just did, do you? Min-jae didn't answer. Han gestured slightly to the distance. To them, he said. To your enemies. To your own bloodline. Min-jae's expression didn't change. But something behind his eyes did. Han continued. You just revealed the boy. Silence. That hit differently. Min-jae's voice dropped. I already knew they would come for him. Han nodded. Yes. Then leaned in slightly. But now they know you'll bleed for him. A beat. And that makes him the target. Not you. For the first time. Min-jae's control cracked. Just slightly. Han noticed immediately. That's it, he said softly. That's the version of you we needed. Min-jae stepped forward. Say what you came to say. Han raised a hand. And the man behind him finally moved in closer. Not attacking. Surrounding. Closing in. We don't want a war, Han said calmly. Min-jae gave a short laugh. You already started one. Han nodded. Yes. Then. We just want the heir returned. Min-jae's eyes sharpened instantly. You don't get him. Han sighed again. You misunderstand. A pause. Then colder. We were never asking. Far away. Zara's car entered the industrial zone. Abandoned buildings. Broken lights. No sound except the engine. The boy whispered, "It feels scary here." Zara nodded. I know. The map on the screen stopped updating. Just a blinking dot ahead. Zara slowed the car. This is it, she whispered. The boy grabbed her sleeve. I don't like it. Zara looked at him. Then at the dark warehouse ahead. And made a decision. We stay in the car, she said firmly. No matter what. The boy nodded quickly. But then. A voice came from outside. Calm. Familiar. Zara. She froze completely. The boy turned. Dad? Zara's heart slammed. Slowly, she looked up through the windshield. And there he was. Min-jae. Standing in the dark. Alive. But different. Too calm. Too still. Like everything had already been decided without her. Zara pushed the door open immediately. Min-jae. He didn't move closer. That was the first warning. The boy ran toward him instantly. Dad. Min-jae knelt slightly and caught him. For a second. He looked human again. Just for a second. Zara stepped forward, breath shaking. What is going on? You said 5 minutes, Anne. Min-jae stood again. And looked at her. Not like before. Not like the diner. Not like someone she knew. Like someone finishing a plan. You shouldn't have followed the map, he said quietly. Zara froze. What? Silence stretched. Then. Min-jae's voice softened. I needed you to leave the city. Zara's eyes widened. You set us up? He didn't deny it. That was the answer. The boy looked between them. Dad? Min-jae didn't look away from Zara. I needed them to follow you instead of me. Zara stepped back. No. His voice dropped. This is the only way they stop hunting you. Zara shook her head, tears forming. You used us. Min-jae's expression tightened. I protected you. A pause. Then Zara whispered, broken. By turning us into bait. Silence. The warehouse behind them creaked in the wind. Then. Far away. Headlights appeared again. Zara turned slowly. More cars. Too many. Coming closer. Her voice cracked. They found us. Min-jae exhaled slowly. Not fear. Acceptance. Then he looked at her one last time. And said. Now you understand why I never let you get close. The convoy stopped at the edge of the darkness. Doors opened. And footsteps began to approach. Backhand index pointing right. End of part 1.